Time for my Gregalogue. This is so exciting. At a news conference for the left-wing campaign for America's future, few uttered the word liberal. No, instead they used progressive. Weird. Are progressives taking over the left, or are liberals refusing to call themselves liberal? It is, after all, a term that scares children, the infirm, and anyone else who remembers Jimmy Carter. Progressive it is, then. Some will explain, probably over a plate of organic rice cakes, that progressivism is a broader way of thinking, one that rises above the right versus left dynamic. It's described delightfully as advanced, pioneering, and free thinking. Surely those words will lure a grad student into bed. Of course you'll get crabs, but it'll be worth it, because even microorganisms deserve social justice. Speaking of disease, medically progressive means increasing in severity, or you're screwed, which also fits nicely as the political definition, because being progressive is deadlier than being liberal. A progressive has no prescription for economic growth, because progressives hate people who make money. Progressives cannot argue coherently about foreign policy, because their innate pacifism offers no alternatives beyond bedwetting. They cannot talk about crime, for they mock personal responsibility. And as every progressive knows, all evil springs from corporate America, the invisible hand that controls all while punching children in wheelchairs. It's true, they do. Progressives hilariously still promote income redistribution. They see your paycheck as public property. That's social justice, more code for you're screwed. Progressives indeed are so sensitive that they cry before, during, and after sex. I'm also told they can get you on any roller coaster regardless of height restrictions. Don't call me a liberal, say progressives, even though progressives are just liberals in sheep's clothing, which if anything makes them a lot more fun in bed. And that's my gut feeling.
Did you get a lot of progressive wedgies growing up?
Yes, I was tortured every day by progressives. It bothered me deeply. All right, on to the news. Social service agencies are offering homeless drinkers in Seattle subsidized apartments where they can keep drinking at a fraction of the cost. This is amazing. They built apartments with taxpayer money that cost $11 million and another $11,000 a year to keep each stinking urine and fecal stained resident happy per year. Does this make sense? I mean, aren't we all functioning drunks? And if we are, Alex, don't we deserve subsidized housing?
Well, I mean, the clergy and monasteries have been doing this for years, I think, so I really don't see what the big deal is. I get the logic, you know, it's like keeping them separate from the rest of the population, keep the homeless, the sober, friendly homeless,
yes,
and the drunks together, wallowing in their own
feces,
feces and booze.
I don't know, Evan. Is this the way we should be?
First of all,
go ahead.
First of all, Greg, let me just say that I'm a little ashamed of you right now. I think you're coming off as a bit of a urinophobe.
It's true.
You know, and really what this goes to, and I'm going to be partly serious because this is serious, but liberals believe that the way you change bad behavior is to reward bad behavior. Let's give them a home. Let's give them I feel like going outside right now and urinating because I need a new apartment.
Megan, would you start urinating in order to get a new apartment?
There are a number of things I've done for a new apartment. I find it odd that only the absolute worst drunks get to live there.
It's
just
true.
The worst ones. Like, you're the biggest drinker. You win. You win the house.
That's true, though, because, okay, look, Courtney, I'm a social drinker. I'm not a problem drinker. But this is telling me that I should become a problem drinker because then I don't have to pay any more rent.
Well, I agree with you because I go to work every day. I pay a fortune to live in a New York City apartment. Yeah. And I'm an alcoholic, so why aren't I?
My God.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. I love you for it.
Wow.
In Hollywood's doing the same thing. You got Lindsay Lohan and all the girls in Promises. That's just homeless alcoholics, except they live in hotels.
It's true. It's true.
Instead of on the streets.
Bill, you for against? Go ahead, Evan.
We complain that, I'm sorry guys, we complain that the Democrats don't give us anything to aspire to. Here they are. You've got to be the best of the drunks.
Exactly.
You have got to really accomplish something to get fine housing if you're a Democrat.
Well, Bill, I think you're pretty much close to it.
In what way, Greg?
Well, I think you're almost nearly homeless, and you're often drinking and covered in your own filth.
What part of my refrigerator box do you not understand? It's well furnished. I have a little Watchmen TV that hopefully will have cable someday, and my pillow is my urine.
For you,
my urine.
All right, moving on. People taking a Forbes magazine online poll have labeled Hillary Clinton as the creepiest presidential hopeful. 50% of Americans say she gives them the creeps, 20% of men and 10% of women. She-males, however, remain undecided. No other hopefuls come close to her, though Rudy Giuliani got 8%, John Edwards got 6%, Barack Obama got 4%. Shockingly, the candidate who ranked the lowest on the creep factor was Dennis Kucinich. Here's a picture of him. There he is. Oh, but I got to ask you. I know. I just had it. Why, Megan? Why do people find Hillary so creepy, or do you find her creepy?
You know, I find her mildly creepy. I find Dennis Kucinich like the Lucky Charms guy. I mean, he's the oddest-looking candidate ever. Yeah, I find Hillary Clinton's hair a little creepy.
Yeah.
That's the only part of her that kind of, yeah.
It's true. It's very Chastity Bono.
It's very kind of a little bit Winston Churchill, too. Something about like
and
that.
she wears those man outfits.
Yes.
I think if she just wore, some trendier suits, if the designers would just, take her on as a project, then she'd be a little less creepy.
Well, that's not really, it's basically what you call a cruise director outfit. It's what women in their 50s start wearing because they're no longer can dress sexually, so they dress like Julie from The Love Boat.
She's got a man cut
Yeah,
as well.
it's true.
You know how the women, when they get over 50, they all cut their hair.
Cut. Exactly.
Also might help if she started blinking now and then.
Yes,
it's just, I'm always a little creeped out by people who never blink.
But I wonder if it's a facelift. What do you think?
I have
Maybe
no
that's
idea.
why.
Evan, how would you define creepy?
Well, first of all, if it's true that she gives people the creeps, that would mean she's still less dangerous and gives people less deadly things than the other Clinton gives them. But, I think one of the things that that makes us think she's creepy is here she is, I don't know how old the woman, she's probably somewhere around 60 years old, and she doesn't even know what her name is. She's still deciding what her name is. Is she Hillary? Is she Hillary Rodham? Is she Hillary Rodham Clinton? And it just gives us the creeps that this woman's going to be running the world, and she doesn't even know who she is.
It's like John Cougar Mellencamp for running for president and not being able to figure out what he's called.
Exactly. She is the John Cougar Mellencamp of nominees.
The artist formerly known
certainly
as
the Cougar.
She is the Cougar. That's very clever. Bill, does it matter? Do you need to like somebody in order to elect them? Is it that important?
Absolutely not, Greg. And as someone who has Hillary Clinton hair, I'm a little offended by this overall conversation.
A man cut.
Well,
You are a man.
I've said this before. Bill Schultz looks like a Mexican lesbian. He really does.
At least I tan well.
All right. Now let's move on. Should the mentally impaired be allowed to vote? Or live, for that matter. No, I mean just vote. That's very mean. Right now, there are efforts by advocates for the mentally ill to secure their voting rights, including murderers and other criminals locked away in asylums. Meanwhile, in Rhode Island, there are politicians taking steps to ban all insane people from voting. I ask you, Alex, does this make sense to allow the insane to vote? And if they do vote, should it count as a half a vote since they're half-wits?
Well, not too much about our electoral process makes a whole lot of sense, but I think this would be really funny, because they'd be like, who do you want for president? Cupcakes! And it would make for some good laughs, probably, and,
That's true. Megan, we could have some amazing rules. Like, we'd be allowed to, eat cats and stuff.
Absolutely. I was going to say absolutely. They should be encouraged to vote, and there should be no form. It should be write-in only. Right. So they have to write out the name of whoever they want.
It'd be great because they'd all be like writing on the outside of the envelopes instead of inside. Because that's the mark of a crazy person is they put a letter in an envelope, they seal it, and then they thought of something else and they start writing on the outside of it like you're going to die. I get like 6 of those a day.
It could be actually
really, because I write like 6 of those a day.
The whole thing could actually be like a reality show where we start with the broad level of contestants that all the crazy people have nominated, and then they pick one, and that's the crazy person president.
It would actually be exactly like the California gubernatorial election, where it was like, little Arnold Drummond was running, and
we had a porn star,
and
Gary Coleman.
Oh yeah,
you had a porn star. You had a former bodybuilder. You had Ariana Huffington.
And basically
she was actually written in by one of the crazy people from this island.
And basically what you do at this point is you one by one vote them off the island.
Yeah, that's
it's become a reality show, and obviously, I'm surprised that nobody else hit this one, but if they're allowed to run for office, they should be allowed to vote as well.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's very good.
I was sitting there, I was waiting and waiting for you guys.
Sometimes he comes out with these things that blow my mind.